Back this way.
Yeah.
For hard floor, brick walls, doesn't sound too
I
bad.
was worried about that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. And you get people, that kind of helps that reflection on the floor when you spread people across the floor. So, at this point, let's kind of talk about the sound just a little bit. When we're doing just sound, we are left, right, sub, over balcony. In fact, I don't know if any of you went to the,
No, nobody went up there.
the balcony fills. You have two balcony fills that also work in conjunction, whether you're showing a movie or not. You're getting left, right, center in those balcony fills also. But for what I'll call music or stage productions, you have left, right, sub, and balcony fills. Processors, some of the things that you definitely want to protect are the integrity of the system. Could you get this on a different program? It could happen. It is labeled Legacy. This first processor is labeled Legacy Left Right Sub. That is your main processor. The second processor is labeled Legacy Surrounds. So we're using 4 output channels here and 2 output channels on the bottom. I'm going to show you what not to do, but it could happen. If somebody's pushing buttons, you could mute your outputs and you kill sound from over there. So I tell you all that is,
Leave him alone.
yes, you don't really want to touch. You don't really want to touch over here. All of our EQ, our crossover, everything is done through the processors. Okay? So let's talk about some of the mics that she has. We have a wireless complement over here. And she has 2 handhelds at this time, and they are labeled. That one's labeled W2, and I'm going to grab W1. W1 for wireless 1, wireless 2. She also has 4 body packs with head warns. Okay? She was thinking about the local playhouse.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to get some things and move towards being able to do small plays in here. So we have wireless 1. We're already going to start moving around on this console. So, digital consoles are in layers. They're hidden. And there's a row of buttons on this left side that deal with this section. These are our inputs right here. This section are masters and grouping. So, if you look right here, it says inputs 1 through 8. So if in fact, I'm just going to mess these up here a little bit, just so you can kind of see them move around. That was from our testing. I have that button pushed, and it says mic 1, mic 2, mic 3, mic 4, mic 5, mic 6, mic 7, mic 8, which corresponds to all the mics that were labeled up there. So now, if I push 9 through 16, I'm going, and always have your hands away from the faders when you go to change a layer. So now we also have mic 9 and mic 10, and then we start seeing our wireless. Wireless 1, wireless 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wireless 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we also have wireless 2. Wireless 3, which is a body pack and a head warn. Wireless 4, 5, and 6, also body packs with head warns. Okay? So she has 4 head warns, 2 handhelds that can walk around. Next, you'll see channels 17 through 24, 25 through 32. This requires an expansion module, which she does not have at this time. She has 16 channels, okay, which are built in. 1 through 8, 9 through 16. So you've got basically 10 channels to plug things in, and then 6 channels for wireless. But we also have the CD iPod. So those are brought in to the auxiliary jack. So you see there's 1 through 8, 9 through 16, 17 through 24, 25 through 32, which aren't used right now, but we have Auxin. So I'm going to press Auxin. And now you'll see my iPod, which is labeled purple, CD iPod. Now you'll notice something. You'll see purple here. You'll also see purple over there. Trying to keep this as simple as possible, where you only have to move around on 1 and 2, I've grouped these two and brought them over here to what we call a DCA, a digital controlled amplifier. So, but it's basically just a remote fader for me to group this and send it over here, so that if I'm over here with my wireless, I don't have to be pushing buttons to move around. I can just unmute over here, and I can pull and mute back. So we try not to have to move a lot of layers. So the less button pushing you have to do, the more you can just focus on what's going on up there. Okay? Now I know this may be a little bit overwhelming. Here's what I always suggest. I always suggest, if you have an opportunity when no one else is around, you say, Karen, I'd like to come down and just kind of sit behind the console, become familiar with the location. I suggest you do it schedule yourself a time when nobody else is around, because everything is programmable. Meaning, as I set this console up, I stored it on a thumb drive. And you can make changes, and then I'll give you an example. There's a lot of other controls that you could be doing. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pull some down. And I say I made changes on the EQ, and we'll talk about this section. But now that I've done all that, I've played, I've studied it, I've looked around, I can go to this small section here called the scene section. I can push the view button, and these are my memory slots. There's tabs at the top. It's on the home tab when you first press it. These are my cursor buttons right here. Arrows up and down, side to side. It also says no and yes, because it'll ask you to answer those questions. But I'm going to move over to the Scenes tab. Now you can see that Legacy, backward audio, BA for backward audio, that's our initial setup. And so, even though I played on it, now I can go and highlight that, and these are scroll buttons and push buttons. I can scroll up and down, or I can push to select. Since I'm highlighted, it'll show highlighted number 1. I can load. There's a little, and I know it's hard to see back there, but when you get to set behind it, it says load, save, edit, load settings, so forth. Well, I want to load scene 1 because I just finished 3 hours of studying it and playing with it, but I didn't want to save anything. And I want to get back to Karen's initial scene. So, load. It's going to ask me, do I want to load scene 1? And I'm going to say yes. And so it goes back to where it was at. So that's the beauty of...
So you guys can come in and...
Yeah.
That's the beauty of...
That's great.
You could come in and store several different scenes and work through them. There's also a tab called Snippets. There are tutorials online also where you can go over how to use scenes and snippets, especially for drama where you've got different mics coming on and off for different scenes, and you can go next, next, and work through.
And recall it.
That's right. So, let's say for instance your wife's going to sing. You come in a day or two before, set up the 2 floor wedges, plug them in for her. You do your little sound check, and you can call it, what's your wife's name?
Janice.
Janice. Janice, such and such date. And vocal mic, store. Now let me show you how to store. We're just going to do training. So, very quickly, I'm going to, just for this example, I'm going to make sure I'm on the wireless. I'm going to unmute my wireless so my vocal mic is ready. Does she use instruments or tracks?
Tracks.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute my track lines. Okay, I'm just going to push pause so we don't have to hear that. So now I've got her vocal mic, her track lines ready, and I like everything we've done. So I'm going to save on number 2. And I'm going to call this training. Okay? So now I've scrolled to number 2 on the save, and I'm going to push it. Pops up a place for me to label it. So I'm going to scroll, press the T. Where's R? Go the other way.
E.
You mean that thing doesn't have a keyboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's at the keyboard right now.
You better come up with some acronyms or stuff.
There you go. You
Too
can.
bad it's not touchscreen.
Yeah, I know.
There are consoles. It just cost a lot of money.
A lot of money on it.
This is the best you're gonna get. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we have them at our touchscreen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta tell you, for
I
me,
bet
this
you
is
do.
just beautiful. This is unbelievably beautiful.
So now that I've got this in, so I'm going to hit save over here. And now we have a tab that says training. So that could be Janice. It could be, you do everything.
Is it what kind of capacity has it from? Is it limited? Like we do a play, and let's say we've got 10 different.
I believe you have something like 200 different slots to
really?
store in. And then you also have snippets on top of it. So,
Now you mentioned thumb drive. Could you save it to a thumb drive?
yes.
No, that's even better.
Because when I left Wednesday evening, I took my thumb drive. And I'll just
lost the thumb drive.
let's go over how to back up the console. In fact, you'll need a thumb drive because if for some reason there's 2 boxes that I told Karen to keep. The console box, very important. If it's got to go back, it has a
Gotta be in that
3-year warranty once it's registered, and I've got to get Karen all the registration information for that. You keep that box and your projector box. Those are the 2 boxes that are critical. If for some reason it has to go in for service, we use the box to do that.
Is there a virtual board that you can practice on?
There is. There is you can go on Behringer.com, look up X32. There's apps for your iPad. If you were to set up an iPad, we put a little wireless router, plug it in, you have an app to be able to control the console from there. There's also something you can put on your laptop and you can kind of study up. Okay? So, yes, there is virtual that before you even come down here, you can kind of, okay, this is what's
Tweak it
going
at
on.
home.
That's great.
That's cool.
Okay,
That's
so-
pretty cool.
So there, you can do that. So back to, where was I headed?
Zip drive.
Zip drive.
Yeah.
Let me grab mine right quick, and I'll just show you. I'm gonna go ahead and mute that. Turn that off for now. Right here, I'm gonna get. Okay, how to store or back up your console.
That backs up everything.
You can do scenes only, or the whole console.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to show you both. Once you insert a thumb drive, something else for you. If you wanted to record, you could record to your thumb drive. Wow. Okay?
That's nice.
Yeah.
Slick.
Yeah. If you push this little button that says view by this USB, pops up an old looking cassette recorder. And you can, it picks up the main left and right automatically, and you can record Janice's concert
Wow.
and put it on thumb drive. Have it ready, or play it back as the people are walking out.
Well, for
That's
weddings,
cool.
we do
Yeah.
for weddings.
Oh, for weddings, yeah.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
quick way
Yeah,
to
that is.
record an event. Okay, so
So
But it's just sound, not
$100
video.
fee. And
it is just sound. It is just sound. You'll call him to record video.
There you go.
What was
That's
your name?
exactly right.
Jack, okay. All right. Now once I put this in, I watch this access light. It'll go yellow. Once it's done, then you can proceed. So now, if I wanted to just do the scene information, then since I'm on scenes, if I hit the utility button, it will pop up export scenes to USB drive. That's where I would do just the scene information. But as an installer, I always back up the whole console, so because it has happened on occasions where they go, oh my goodness, I erased everything.
Yep.
I defaulted it. And so I stopped by with my thumb drive, load it back up, and they're all happy.
So that's something she should do, get a thumb drive and
Yeah,
back it up. right
always,
now.
always have a backup. So now, I do not want to just do the scene information, I want to do the console information. So I have to tab over to home. I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to move over to home. When I'm in that home screen, if I push utility, it then says import or export show. The show is everything the console's got. Okay? So now, I'm just going to go ahead and do it since we haven't really made any major changes on anything. I'm going to export show, so I'm going to push export. I have named the show Legacy. So my thumb drive, because if you look at my thumb drive, it's got all sorts of shows on it from different installs.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to hit save, and you're going to see a blue line start across.
Progress on.
Yeah, and so since we don't have many shows, it'll be fairly quick. So here we go. And I'm going to say yes. There's my blue line. Yeah.
Done.
Now if there was a bunch
Where
of
I missed it.
yeah. Now if you had been watching, that access light would have went
Blink.
yellow again.
Oh.
When it's done, you can then pull your thumb drive and
Now you got it in your hand.
so it's backed up what we've been doing. That's a very important thing to know. Are there tutorials? Yes, you can look at them because I know this goes by really fast. But let's talk about the breakdown of the console just a little bit because I know some of you, how many's familiar with analog consoles or just small sound consoles? Okay.